Speak Up. I am Sandra Schulte. Welcome back to our show. Today, I'm very happy to have William B. Bierce with us. Welcome to our show, William.
Thank you, Sandra.
William B. Bierce, attorney and well-honed mediator, will be talking about corporate divorce, succession planning, and joint exits, the strategies and toolkits. This leads us to the cover of this exceptional must-read book for would-be business owners. But first, I'm going to tell you about William B. Bierce. Mr. Bierce is a multicultural, bilingual, award-winning international business and technology attorney and trusted business advisor for business owners, boards of directors, investors, and senior executives. As attorney and also as a strategic advisor, Bill Bierce advises on organizational design, business formation, life cycle transitions. Oh yes, businesses do have life cycles, just like humans do. Incentive compensation, governance, risk management, crisis resolution, resiliency planning, roll-ups, corporate sales, divestitures, and transition to management or employees. His clients include mid-market niche companies, specialty manufacturing service industries, family businesses, international business and tech companies. He has lived many roles that drive business. He's been business founder, corporate director, officer, litigation settlement negotiator, arbitrator, mediator, licensed insurance agent, graduate MBA, professor of international law and taxes, mentor, executor, trustee, investor, and Bar Association committee chair, public speaker, and camp counselor. Bill was graduated from Yale, NYU School of Law, and a French law school. Bill Bierce has published over 100 articles on law, outsourcing, and global business operation in English, French, Spanish, and Japanese. For over 5 years, Bill has acted as case study facilitator to teach dispute resolution by mediation as part of the New York State Bar Association trainings of lawyers. This includes corporate business divorce. Here's the best part. Now listen. Are you a business owner with partners? No matter where you are in your business life cycle, this book, Smarter Business Exits, is a must-read. Why? Because no matter where you are in your business life cycle, whether you or your partners agree or don't agree about how to plan for the sale of the business, things happen in life. Unexpected reasons happen. Out of the clear blue sky, in this smart collection, you will learn all you need to know about getting ready for the eventual divorce. Perhaps because of the death of a partner. Maybe he decides he wants to retire and the other partner does not want to retire. You will learn how to hire the right advisors, how to navigate toxic paralysis in co-owner relations. And oh yes, how to use governance tools to keep your co-owners fulfilling their promises of services, loyalty, productivity, and commitment. Here's William B. Bierce.
That's very nice. Thank you very much, Sandra.
You're welcome. Why did you write this book?
This book came out of my frustration. I've been advising business owners for a long time, and there are several situations where I was unable to achieve for the business owner what they wanted because they had some emotional issues that they couldn't operate. They were emotional issues, they're structural issues, business design, decisions about how to sell the business and how to prepare for the transition So I was looking at all of these things, and I was being consulted on a daily basis. And what was I going to do? How could I help them structure this? So I basically said, I need to get this off my chest. This was an emotional release.
What are some sources of co-business owner disputes?
Well, co-owners have faced terrible Ds: death, disability, divorce, disputes, disagreements, distress in governance and disagreements on matters, and possibly declining finance in the company. So they're terrible Ds. And business owners need to anticipate this. Just like any marriage operation, it's planned with a design, and you work for the best, and you plan for potentially something else that happens.
It reminds me of a war room in a place like the Pentagon, where they try to figure out what the other side might conceivably do, and they plan a strategy against what the other side might do and what their weaknesses would be in that eventuality.
So actually, it's always time for the business owner, who usually is focused on day-to-day business issues, to take a long view and identify what are the strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and threats to the personal ownership issues and what they want to do about them. And so they're looking at what I call business design and business exit intelligence is the emotional issue, identifying your emotional needs as to what you will want when you exit. And you want a clean exit, simple, predictable, in writing, and maybe in the shareholders agreement, et cetera, buy-sell terms. So you can take care of those things. But that's only one example. That's really at the beginning. And in the middle, you've got other issues about administration of your business, which you need to plan. And so you're constantly identifying your strength, your vulnerabilities, and assessing them and trying to plug holes for the exit plan, which may take 10 years, 15 years, or 2 years, or whatever. So the plan is to identify your opportunity, identify your weaknesses, plug the holes, and be in constant process improvement, continuous process improvement, which is something which commercial advisors stress.
And even if you will get to an eventual exit, you have to have those holes plugged, or someone's not going to want to buy your business.
Well, there's a big problem with marketability of small businesses, because a lot of them have weaknesses, which are owner dependency. They're stuck with the owners doing everything, and hasn't delegated anything to anybody. You have customer concentration, where you have limited 40% of your business comes from one customer or something like that, as an example. So these are things, and there's the third thing is what I will call silos of information, and so different segments don't talk to each other, so they're inconsistent, and they're not acting as a team, so lack of teamwork. So all of these are things which are sort of just good business management principles you get from management school, but you also have to think about this as where it's your business exit intelligence. How do you feel about it? Where you want it to go?
How does oppression of another shareholder take place in legal terms? And can you give an example?
Well, oppression of other shareholders is something which comes out of the law of corporate fiduciary duty. And those who are authorized by the shareholders or LLC members to manage the business have a fiduciary duty to do so in the best interest of the company. However, there's an exception to that rule. Delaware permits you to exclude that fiduciary duty from an LLC. It's a little crazy, but that's a flexibility. So fiduciary duty means that you can't be working just for yourself. You can't take the money and say, you can't hide things. You can't hide the finances. You have to disclose, you have to identify the problems and share with people, with the owners, what their opportunities are and the choices that they have if they're going to be having to make decisions. And the most important thing is oppression of minority shareholders occurs when there's self-dealing and you're doing things which are in your sole interest and not in the best interest of the enterprise or of the minority. Or you haven't voted on things so that you can have the board or the members, the owners, decide, and that's something that even the minority has to accept so long as it's public and disclosed. Of course, they can argue about that, and if there's a dispute with a 50-50, then you may have to decide to liquidate because you can't get to where you want to resolve. But that's oppression. Oppression hits the minority.
At what stage should a business owner design an exit strategy and why?
At what stage should I design a business exit plan? At every stage in my business. And the reason is I need that for protection against investors at the startup and protection. So I'm protecting and when I grow, I want to make sure that my employees are not going to be attacking me. And when I want to exit, I want to make sure that I have something to transition to and deliver to a buyer or to a succession recipient. Could be family, next generation. It could be an employee stock option plan. Could be, or to be a private equity or a strategic buyer. So at every phase, you're building. And you're building an enterprise, you're building an asset. So it's not just at the end. And the beauty of a plan is that it gives you an opportunity to think and decide, am I ready to move? Am I not? And what do I need to do to fix it? And if I keep iterating my analysis of what's missing and what I need my vulnerabilities, then I plug my holes and I have fewer holes to plug when I'm ready to decide and move forward on sale.
What factors go into an exit design plan?
Exit design planning starts with the emotional element of the owner's family. Are you willing to let go of control? Do you need to be there every day telling everybody what to do? Because if you want to be in control, you're not going to be letting go of control. So it's personal readiness, and so you have to have a personal plan which meets your family, your intentions with respect to post-sale opportunities. You may want to continue in part for a couple of years as a consultant, if you like to do that, or you may want to cut the cord. But you cease to be the controller. So it's a control psychology. So it's psychology one thing. Second is you have to identify whether you are ready, whether your plan will result in sufficient financial liquidity for you to retire, if that's what you want to do. And so you have to identify your value of the company, and if there's a gap between that and the best in the business, you need to improve. And so you identify the improvements so that you're at the best in the business, and incidentally, you increase the multiple of EBITDA, earnings before income, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, so that increases your price. And the third thing is, are you going to be having enough to support the lifestyle that you'd like to have? And so that's a wealth management issue, and that comes down to if you wind up having your assets for wealth generated by your business, including the assets you have unrelated. So personal, business planning, and financial planning.
Oh, those are the joint roles?
Those are the joint roles, and what you do is you assemble a team. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's advising should understand that there's a lot to do, and the teamwork is to get people who understand the goals, and they collaborate on that so that they pull together and they get the results.
Should they sometimes come from within or without? But depending on what?
From within the company or within the family?
Within the family, within the company, or those are various choices, or without to help achieve this?
Well, I think every business owner needs to consult professionals with different skill sets. And it would be helpful if the business owner doesn't have the time to appoint someone as the head coach. And so the head coach brings together the other coaches. And so they all have the common vision, but different functions to achieve that. And
also not the emotional overlay.
Emotional overlay, emotional intelligence of any kind requires you to focus on identifying how you feel and then stepping away and say, okay, that's how I feel, but I'm going to make the decision based upon what I need and what's a good decision, even though I may be unhappy about having to pull myself up and do something about it. So it's a segregation of the decision from the emotional distress that goes into the decision.
What techniques do you use to achieve smarter business exits?
Techniques. Well, first thing is I have to listen. And you have to listen, you have to ask a lot of questions. You have to, basically, it's like anything, in order for someone to make a decision, you help them open their mind to, oh, I hadn't thought about that possibility. Of course, I'm asking the question, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And how does that impact you? So if they have a decision, great. If they don't, then they can start thinking about it. And so the strategy for helping people is to assist them and not dictate to them, but give them the choices. And so that's a lot of choices.
How do you restructure a 50-50 co-ownership partnership to avoid a liquidation paralysis when owners have failed to communicate on financial and strategy issues?
50-50 is a recipe for great success and great failure, because there's no one in control, and each party has the veto on virtually everything. And so Delaware law and other states, if you go to the court and say, we can't decide anything, the judge will say, okay, fine, you're going to liquidate and distribute the assets and go your different ways. The goal in a successful 50-50 is to identify the narrow scope of what your obligations are so that you're not being criticized for things that you're not involved with, and to have a plan that, as much as possible, that where you're aligned. And it's the teamwork alignment issue. I used to be on lightweight crew at college, and I know how to pull together the oar with the same other guys, and that's the whole issue. And the coach has to help align on the pulling together. But if you're going to dispute in a 50-50, rather than destroy the baby, what you want to do is you want to give an opportunity in the shareholders agreement to let one buy the other out, or let one, or have a decision, a process for transition. And even in mediation situations where 50-50, instead of exiting the whole buying and selling, you can say, well, I'd like to take the West Coast and you take the East Coast, and we'll jointly own the intellectual property, and we'll license each other, we'll become a franchisor, and we'll hire somebody else. So we restructure the relationship so the conflict is not killing you. It gives you an opportunity to rethink and redirect your time, energy, and efforts.
In fact, I think I remember you're talking to me about a business that sounds like what was that? The watch business you were talking about? A watch band business?
Oh, watch band business, yes. That's actually something which we use as an example in some education of mediators, because the two 50-50s, they each think that they're hiding something, and maybe each of them is hiding something from the other, and maybe each of them is in breach of fiduciary duty a little bit. But if one of them said, "Okay, look, I'm want to take, I'm going to go live in a foreign country, and I'll do the international, and you do the domestic, and we'll have an agreement on how the manufacturing is done and who's in charge of the licensing, and where the design is done. So you have a trademark, so you've already got a brand, you've got an asset, and you can share that. And that's the beauty of a restructuring. And sometimes, so that beats liquidation, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right. They both come up with something they want, as opposed to nothing, maybe.
Right.
What can parents do to raise entrepreneurs who can plan and do smarter business exits?
Well, entrepreneurship is important for our country and for the world. I think most parents don't think about raising children as entrepreneurs, but actually the same parental guidelines that you might have for raising a well-informed and well-adapted person is to have someone who is willing to adapt, to collaborate and cooperate. So I would call this a teamwork philosophy. And so I would encourage parents to invite their kids to play sports and to understand how the coaching of a team with positioning of different positions even on the soccer team. We're in FIFA right now on the World Cup, and everybody's got a different role, but they have to work together. And so that creates the respect for the other person. It permits dependency upon another person, relying upon someone.
Dependency, be willing to depend upon another person.
I want to depend upon you to do your job, and if you miss your marks, let's consider that an educational opportunity until you intentionally fail to produce, and then you might get fired. Okay, but so it's an opportunity for collaboration, and anything you can do to cooperate. Could be in singing, could be music, could be something that's a group. So that's what parents can do. I've learned that, as I said, in Crew, and I did that with other teams. That's just part of growing up.
I guess also learn to play by the rules.
Well, I've learned to play by the rules. Actually, that's listening to the rules. It's respecting the rights of other players and not trampling on them, and expecting to be judged fairly. So it's fairness. And in business, you want to define your goals. You want to define the roles, responsibilities, and rules of interaction. And then you may have consequences, like it's a green card, or we're not doing red cards yet, but so that we have a way to grow the business as a collegial operation, because you want, as a founder, you want your employees to be dedicated to the company, and they want and keep them there for the buyer to have when you want to exit in your due time.
Yes, because employees are a valuable asset. They are an asset.
The employees have knowledge management. Mm-hmm. They have tacit knowledge that may not be written down in any rules or anything. So that's part of the element of transitioning from ownership to sale, is that you want to make sure that your team can work together and can work to fill any gaps, and that the owner's knowledge is not the only source of knowledge for the operation. And to get that, you need to have them encouraged to stay. And what that means is incentive compensation structured in a proper way.
Now, Bill, what would you like the audience to take away with them?
Smarter business exits is something you just need to think about every time you're creating a business. You can be a serial entrepreneur, and what do? They think about getting it out, But some people are not serial entrepreneurs. They do it for 40 years and think they're okay, well, now I have to go. So the plan is always start thinking about your exit plan, your opportunities, your dependencies, and how do you mitigate those dependencies, and how you create strength and wealth, because the wealth is from the strong business and the strong operation that's not owner dependent.
And when people take over a business or want to buy a business or even be a recipient of a business, they're going to want to receive something that has wealth. That could be potential, that could be...
Well, we like to call that day one. On the day after the day when the buyer steps in, everything changes because the employees are now part of the buyer's operation, and the seller is no longer in control. And so that's what you want. There's preparation, and so there's disclosure and there's proper process. That's part of the M&A process, due diligence and asking questions and disclosing. So you have to be ready in the due diligence process so you can hand over something to buyers in an auction process rather than just an unsolicited offer where you're going to get negotiated down after you say yes.
Bill, I want to thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is Speak Up. I am Sandra Schulte. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.
Thank you.